Hey guys, Geek Alchemy here today, saying hello and making hopefully our final revision on our liquid soap base. I have my distilled water here, I have sugar and salt in these respective canisters. I will be melting them into the water on the stove because this is stainless steel and it can handle it. In my jug right here on the bottom there is glycerin. Half my water amount is glycerin and I added it directly to the oils. And then castor oil and sunflower oil, both of those oils are organic in nature. And of course we can't do anything without potassium hydroxide. And I'm going to go ahead, pause the video, put everything being the salt and the sugar in here, dissolve it really nicely before I add up my lye into the jug here. I'm gonna sign off and of course put on all my proper gear before before I start mixing. I'll see you in a second. Alright guys, I'm back. If you're new to my channel, I am a geek-centric soaper. I like my fandoms, I like making soap, and I'm a little into the sciencey part. I'm not like full chemist, you know, deep dive, but I do like the science behind it as well, so I guess a little bit of a nerd too. Alright, as you can see, this water is about as clear as it's gonna get. I have both the salt and the sugar in the water, and if you notice that the granules look different, I realized as I was doing this little intro that I put it in sodium hydroxide instead of potassium hydroxide. And I'm really glad I caught it before I put it in here because it would have been lye heavy and I'm not sure what I would have done with that. It was yeah, thankfully I caught it, but you know, even seasoned soapers make mistakes. It truly happens. Now, gonna add a little bit of the lye at a time. I don't know if you heard that growling, I'll do it again. But occasionally your soap talks back to you. I think it's really neat. I like that. Alright, last bit of the lye. Here we go again. Now, I don't claim to make a true cold process. I don't claim to make a true hot process version here. I do something in between where all my oils are at room temp, my glycerin's at room temp, but my lye is freshly mixed. And I don't wait for it to cool down because I don't see a need to, because I mean, to me this is like the heat transfer method of bar soap, where you keep everything at room temperature, you make sure you have enough heat to dissolve to melt the hard oils, and you move forward. So to me this is a heat transfer, which is considered a cold process version, but some people might consider this an odd hybrid of hot process and cold process. Now, the lye water you see is not clear because of the added sugar and brine in this lye mixture. But for those of you who are curious why I'm adding it, I'll tell you. The brine, the salt, is to help get a thicker liquid soap, And the sugar, for like many other reasons you put sugar in a soap, is for the bubbles. See, the salt has a way of detracting your bubbles. It does add a nice, well, for bar soap anyway, it adds a nice creaminess to the bar. But you know, you kind of have to give and take with the bubbles, which is why most people use coconut oil for their salt or brine soaps, because coconut oil is one of the few oils that is not inhibited by the salt, at least not greatly anyway. But this is sunflower and castor oil. They are both very much inhibited by the salt, making it less bubbly. So I want to counteract that, and that's why I am adding sugar. The reason I add the glycerin, if you aren't a soaper or don't know about this little trick, glycerin is a accelerant. And the reason it's an accelerant is because it is a sugar alcohol. So like if you're diabetic or you're trying to cut back on your sugars, you'll find that there's sugar-free alternatives that are still sweet. Glycerin is one of those alternatives, actually. All right, guys, I'm gonna turn on the buzzer. You might want to turn down your volume. Now, it takes a while, no matter what cheats you use for liquid soap. It takes a while for liquid soap paste, which is what we will have here, to come together. With glycerin, because of the slight alcohol content, it does help speed that up. But again, this is liquid soap and it's a pain in the tush. As soaps go, it's going to separate and come back together, but the glycerin does really help shorten that time frame. Now, I've done the math, just to take a break here. It's not hot yet, but just to take a small break from my stick blender, I wanted you guys to know that I have done the math, and this is going to be my standard recipe, as long as it acts the way I think it will. This is going to be my standard recipe for liquid soap. Now, I do have my product testers currently testing out my 2 versions of liquid goat milk soap to see which version of that they like, or if they think I need to tweak the recipe just a little bit more. I will have 2 standard liquid soap recipes, the goat milk and this bad boy. When that happens, I'm going to make it really easy on all my customers. An unscented soap for 8 ounces is going to be $10, and literally any scent you want, including essential oils, is going to be $12. I'm going to I'm still looking up ways to get refill containers for this. I'm having a hard time finding refill containers. So far, the best option I've found is a travel wine flask that people use to sneak into concerts and stuff so they don't have to pay for the exorbitant alcohol prices. That's an option. Mason jars are an option, but only if you are local. Now, I do have a supplier, and I want you guys to comment below or send me a DM or something. Let me know what y'all think of the possibility of doing mason jars and using adapters for the top, because I know, at least in my area, a lot of people love the aesthetics of mason jars, and I am one of them. And I can actually prove that to you right here and now with my sugar container. Isn't it pretty? It's massive. I know, it's absolutely massive, but I love it. It's all glass and it's so pretty. Obviously not meant for canning in any way, shape, or form. It's just for storage, but yes, just to throw it out there, there is a definite aesthetic for mason jars and all the things it goes with. And I'm one of them. So I'm coming up with an idea, and I know how to execute it if everybody likes it, wants it, to get mason jar adapters, and I'm also going to get little coasters for the bottom so they don't, you know, like sail across the counter if any water gets up underneath. I really, really like that idea, but I don't want to go buying the supplies until I know I have a market for it. And I'm not going to get back into the farmers markets to take a chance that people would like that aesthetic until September. So it will happen. I'll at least have an experiment time frame. It'll probably be something my product testers have first shot at. I like to give my product testers sneak peeks for items to come. I also like to give them exclusives. In fact, I just gave an exclusive sample size body wash to my product testers with this summer release. Alright, it's getting thicker at the bottom. It needs to rest. So I'm gonna give my stick blender a chance to cool off a little bit, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, I did a little bit of stirring while you were gone. I found my temp gun. Oh, it changed. There we go. It's about 125 degrees. So this makes it, yeah. This makes it closer to a countertop hot process when it comes to specific heats. So I'm not doing a true cold process, but I'm also, I don't know. I'm doing something in between. I'm doing my own. But if you're looking for actual like terminology, this is probably countertop hot process or something like yeah, that's about it. That's the only term I can think of right now. For those of you who don't know what liquid soap looks like, once it's fully gelled, once it's done, you actually get something along these lines. Now this is paste. The both of them are liquid soap paste. I make mine at a very high ratio of water, so it's not as hard as most. This one was my last experiment with glycerin, and as you can see, it moves, it squishes, it's quite soft, but this is harder than my normal pastes. My pastes are normally very soft. Again, I'm only doing this because I have a gloved hand. As you can see, it's very, very thin. It's gelatinous, you could say. And the way you make liquid soap out of the paste is to measure its weight and then measure the weight of the amount of water in ratios how you want to dilute it. Now, because I put a good amount of salt in here, mine comes out a little thicker, plus I use sunflower oil, which is a bit thicker of an oil to work with than, say, coconut oil. Coconut oil is water, essentially. It is the thickness of water, and you will not, no matter how much you thicken it or how much salt you add to it, it will stay very, very thin. I am actually playing with the idea of making a 100% coconut oil liquid soap because it is incredible at cleaning surfaces. And for those of you who make your laundry detergent with grated homemade coconut oil soaps, or like Zote or something, and especially if you turn it into liquid, getting a liquid soap in the first place is, in my personal opinion, even better of an option. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause you again for a little bit because this is a process. It takes a while, and trust me, I know from watching others, it can get a little tedious. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, since this motor I'm using is not as powerful as the one I had used previously, I kind of expected the soap to be at least a trace at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap up this video and show you what the previous mostly glycerin soap performs like. Now, I'm not going to take off my gloves just because I'm still working with this raw soap. So as you can see, nice clear. Which means it should take color very nicely. You start out with a nice set of thin but dense lather. You see, as you add water, you get some nicer bubbles. I really do like this recipe. I'm hoping this addition of sugar helps to get the bubbles even bigger than what they are. And keep in mind, these are my gloved hands. This is not necessarily what you'll see on your actual hands, but just to give you a visual aid. This is what I am aiming for, and more. I'm hoping to get more of these bigger bubbles. So, as I said, as I said in a previous video, I'm still waiting on, I'm gonna try and get a Windows computer that has editing software on it. I tried to download some free ones on my Chromebook, and my Chromebook is otherwise not performing to my hopes. So I'm going to see if I can't get a new computer for the business and maybe use the Chromebook as a personal, just to browse the internet and stuff, nothing crazy. Alright guys, I hope you're gonna have a geeky day. I'm gonna continue to geek out on this soap, and I can't wait to see how it comes out. I promise to bring you guys along for the ride. I will see you later. Enjoy.